Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's presentation on Zero Waste 101. My name is Kristen Jansen, and I am an AmeriCorps member serving with Conservation Nebraska's Common Ground program. Conservation Nebraska's mission is to protect our state's natural legacy by educating the public, supporting communities, and increasing civic engagement, which we accomplish through locally led education efforts and community engagement projects to address local conservation concerns. Before tonight's speakers, there's just a few housekeeping things to go over. Your cameras will remain off and you will be muted throughout the presentation. So please type any questions you have in the chat or the Q&A section, and those will get answered at some point during or after the presentation. This presentation will be recorded and it will be uploaded to Conservation Nebraska's YouTube page within the next couple of weeks. So if you miss any part of tonight's presentation, would like to revisit any part or share it with others, you will be able to find it there. Following the presentation, we'll have a very brief survey that should only take less than a minute to complete. This survey helps support local programming like this one, so we appreciate you taking the time to fill those out. If anyone in attendance is interested in speaking with a Conservation Nebraska member regarding conservation issues in Nebraska or to find out more about what we do, I'll put our email in the chat and you can feel free to reach out to us. Tonight, we welcome Dana Stahl, who's with Keep Cass County Beautiful, and she's going to speak about becoming zero waste. So I will just let her take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Kristen, for having me on the webinar tonight to talk about one of my big passions, zero waste. And so I'm actually going to start the presentation out by talking about my personal journey to zero waste in our household. So it'll be tips that you can use like in your personal life. And then I'm kind of going to lead into our journey to zero waste as an organization and I guess as Cass County and how we're still working towards going zero waste and getting people on board with that. So hopefully there's something all of you can learn and use. And like Kristen said, feel free to write your questions in the chat and she's going to try to keep an eye on those to let me know they're there because I'm not going to be looking at it as much as she is. So feel free to ask any questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I think everyone can see the screen. So I wanted to start out with a little bit of information about myself. I have about 4 main passions here, and as you can see, Keep Cass County Beautiful and working in conservation is a big passion of mine. My journey to, I guess, zero waste started when I was a teenager, and I would start collecting cans from everyone and everywhere in Michigan where they have a bottle deposit. And so it kind of just started from there and has developed into what I'm doing today. I'm a avid equine horsewoman. I've been riding horses my whole life. And then as you can see in the upper corner, I love rescuing dogs and I have 4 of my own. And this was a picture from last summer when we had up to 9 dogs at our house. So I love rescuing dogs and doing that as well. And then another passion of mine is traveling. And Chris and I were just talking before we started about how it's fun to travel and see what other cities and communities are doing in regards to sustainability and zero waste and recycling and just all of the above. So I get a lot of ideas when I'm out and about traveling. So what is zero waste? I'm guessing if you're on this webinar, you probably have some idea, but this movement has kind of started, I guess I would say in the last decade, but basically reducing your consumption. So doing anything you can to reduce your landfill waste, reusing, repairing, recycling. And as of late, composting has become a really hot topic and more and more people seem to be doing that as well, which makes me really happy. So we're reusing and keeping things out of the landfill as much as possible. So this is a eco-conscious waste pyramid that we created. As you can see here, we like to teach kids at school. We're in the schools a lot educating, but we like to teach them that refuse is the best thing you can do, and it's using your no thank you. So if somebody is offering you something, but you really don't need it, or if there's something, at the store, you really don't need it. So you can use your no thank you. And that's the best eco-friendly option if you have that choice, if you don't really need it. And then reduce, so using less of something if you're able to do that. And then reuse and repurpose as much as possible. So find a new way to use it, give it away, make it into something else, and then recycle and composting if there's no other option and you need to get rid of that item. And then last, landfill. So if you'll see, like, recycle and compost is just one above landfill. So a lot of us like to focus a lot on recycling, but it's really energy intensive actually. So the less we can consume, the more, the closer we get to that zero waste and the friendlier to the environment it is. And here's another model that's kind of the same, but just a different way to look at it. But I also like this one as well. So just focuses on that reducing, reusing first and foremost, and then moving on to that recycling and then landfill. So some things that we have gradually shifted over to in our own home is learning to go without things, learning to substitute things, borrowing things from a friend or neighbor that if we only need to use them once, of course, repairing whenever possible and using things as long as you possibly can. So we've slowly cut basically all disposables out of our home. So everything we use in our home, from paper towels to plates to anything we're using, even razors, we've switched over to all reusable and plastic free. And so even there is options to buy blocks of shampoo and conditioner and bars of soap now, so you eliminate that plastic packaging. And then cooking with bulk materials whenever possible to cut down on the packaging waste. So some things that we do in our home. When going shopping, the number one thing I've learned is that being prepared is the best thing, because so many times people will tell me that they have plenty of reusable bags, but they always forget to use them. So just always making sure you have bags with you, get in that habit of taking them into the store. Even produce bags, we're kind of taught to put every different piece of fruit or item in a produce bag when it's really not necessary. I just like to, as you see in the picture, I just like to put them right in my cart. And then, I mean, I'm going to wash them anyways when I get home really well. So there's, I've never had anyone tell me that you can't buy groceries because you don't have them in the produce bags, or you can get those mesh reusable bags. And if we're like going to the deli for cheese or meat, we will bring our reusable containers with us or get it in a paper bag. So just thinking of different choices than consuming and using that plastic, looking for things that are in less packaging, maybe in glass versus plastic. Glass is pretty easily recycled, but plastic is a really, really hard material to recycle. So just trying to use as little plastic as you can. It's impossible not to use plastic in today's environment, but just reducing that as much as we can. When dining out, so some easy choices you can make to cut down on a lot of waste. Coffee is incredibly popular in smoothies and all those drinks today with Starbucks and scooters. But I've made a pledge that I only get coffee if I can get it in a to-go cup or a coffee mug instead of the reusable disposable cups. If you just think about how many millions of cups are probably used every year and not able to be recycled, I don't want to have that kind of impact. So, and if we're getting ice cream, we always ask for an ice cream cone without a plastic straw. So just different ways to cut down on your waste, and it doesn't affect your experience at all with having a good time. And you can still go out and have a good time and use less waste. When you're on the go or traveling, like if you're going on a vacation, flying somewhere, going on a road trip, again, plan ahead. I always pack my own silverware, straw, coffee cup, my reusable water container with me, no matter where I'm going, if I'm flying somewhere, driving somewhere. And I remind people I'm traveling with to do the same. And my goal is always to leave no trash behind. So everything I consume on the trip, like if I use a can and I can't find a recycling bin, I'm taking that. I go kind of extreme, but I'm taking that home with me to recycle, and I'm not leaving trash anywhere I go. I will take it home with me if it's recyclable before I'll throw it away. So just not creating a lot of trash when you're out and about traveling and leaving it better than you found it. So just drinking tap water and not consuming bottled water is actually, well, for one, it's a lot healthier for you because there's been a lot of studies that microplastics are leaching into the bottled water. So we're actually consuming plastic when we're drinking bottled water. But if you drink from the tap, well, for one, it's free, and it's also much better for the environment not to use that bottled water. And you probably want to use a filter of some kind, but just drinking from the tap. And whenever you travel, they have refill stations everywhere. So I always bring a huge water bottle with me wherever I go, and I just keep refilling it again and again, and have that goal to never use a plastic water bottle unless I have to, which I actually haven't run into a situation in the last five years at least that I've had to use one. Most of you have probably heard of carbon footprint, but if you kind of want to get an idea of like what your carbon footprint is, so it's actually the amount of carbon dioxide that we're causing to be released into the atmosphere as a result of our activities. You can do an individual carbon footprint or community or organization, but there's a couple links that I've included that you can take the carbon footprint test, and then it will give you some tips on how you can improve that carbon footprint. Also, another thing we recommend is if you are looking to go waste free, do a waste audit at your house. See what you're throwing away the most of, and then see how you can make that better. Like, can you substitute it for something? Can you change to reusable paper towels versus the disposable ones? Anything you can do to reduce the amount of waste of the things you're throwing away. So maybe you're getting coffee a lot and you have a lot of disposable coffee cups, or there's a lot of examples, but see where you can improve that to be working towards going zero waste. Another way that you can reduce live trash is to go paperless, the paperless route. So we've switched all of our bills online. They're paid automatically. If you're receiving a lot of magazines, newspapers, and mail, opt out of those, call them and get off the mailing list or unsubscribe. And you won't have near as much mail to sort through and a lot less trash to throw away. So also reducing your email, like going through your emails and deleting them actually helps your carbon footprint as well, because all those have to be stored. So they're actually using energy. So I try to go through my emails fairly often too and delete those as well. So the textile industry is one of the worst polluters in the world. So it's 10% of the global emissions. And we actually have enough clothing. The statistics say we have enough clothing right now to provide the next 6 generations of humans with clothes. Because of the fast fashion industries, we're buying cheap clothing and wearing it an average of about 7 times and then discarding it. And so the average American is throwing away about 85 pounds of clothing a year. So my advice to combat this would be to try and look at purchasing clothing a little different. Try to borrow clothes from someone, like if you need something special for just a night, or if you can rent something. That's not always an option, but another great option, and we have so many in Cass County and all over, I know in Omaha, everywhere, is to try and thrift. I have set the goal this year to buy not a single new thing, thrifting everything, and I've had no problems. It's actually been a lot of fun going to thrift stores if I need something. And then try, if you do prefer to buy new, try to buy with natural fibers like cotton, bamboo, hemp, the more natural materials instead of like the polyester, nylon, because those are going to last longer and they're less harmful to the environment. Clothing like that is really hard to recycle, and it doesn't last as long. So I always recommend buy the best that you yourself can afford. So choose that quality over quantity. Maybe you might see a shirt, for $10, but it's not going to last near as long versus if you buy one that's higher quality. So we always talk about our house that the CPW, cost per wears. So if you're buying an expensive clothing item, let's say it's, made better, and you're paying $100, but you get to wear it, 300 times versus a cheaper shirt that you're only wearing a few times, the cost per wears is actually lower with that higher quality item. I touched on it a little bit before, but composting is becoming really popular, and it's really easy to do, and you can reduce about 40% of your landfill waste by composting. You can make a little compost bin out in your backyard. You can get one of the turn composts. There's a lot of different ways to compost, and basically you just add your vegetable, fruit peels, any kind of food. If you're doing it at your personal house, we recommend not using like meat or dairy because it attracts animals, your pets, and they could get sick. But you just mix it in with soil and dried leaves or grass. And so you just need your, what we call your greens or browns, and some sun and water, and you can be on your way to composting. But if you live in an apartment or you're not interested in having your own compost, you can still compost. We actually partner with Hillside Solutions out of Omaha, and they have a compost club. I think it's oh, it's not my next slide. I kind of jumped around, but you can join their compost club for very cheap and compost all your materials, take them there in like a covered bucket, and it works really well. I know a couple people doing it and they love it. And that way they're still able to compost. Like if you live in an apartment or somewhere where you're not able to compost yourself, or you don't, maybe you're not interested in doing it. So one of the really important reasons to compost is it actually takes up a lot of our landfill space, and food does not break down the way it's meant to in a landfill because it's covered and it lacks oxygen. And so it actually emits methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas, a really powerful one. And so the food's not allowed to, decompose like it's meant to in nature. And so you can see the statistics on my slide here, but as far as what food waste consumes. And so composting is a way we can make our own soil for free. It can be organic instead of, laced with chemicals. And I always talk to kids about it, but I say, your trash doesn't stink if you're not putting food waste in it that's going to rot in there. And then you have to take the trash out much less often if you're composting. So these are a list of things that you can compost and you can't compost. Now it's different if you do commercial composting because you can compost compostable plates, cups, bowls, all of those items. They even have compostable silverware, but those have to be in a commercial facility because in your small compost bin, you don't have the heat and the volume to make those items compost. So if it says like BPI compostable, that's what you're looking for. That's more for a commercial facility versus your compost bins at your house. So here's that link. And I don't know if maybe Kristen's going to send out the slideshow if anyone would like to have it at the end, but here's a link that you can go to for the compost club. And they have a cute video that shows you how to compost and get you going there. So another tip I've learned, and this has saved us not only a lot of waste in our house, but a lot of money, but buy less. And one way I've learned to do this is, well, by staying out of stores for one, but also unsubscribing from a lot of things, because if I'm not being marketed to and I don't have these ads constantly popping up on Amazon or wherever, then I'm not spending money. And I honestly haven't missed any of the things that I used to buy years ago that I kind of got sucked into buying that I didn't need. So it's been a journey for me over the last 15 years, to learn to make different choices. So I have this goal to like stay out of stores. We've hosted a couple exchange students that have dragged me to the mall, and then it never fails. I end up seeing something that I think I need, but really just, staying out of the stores helps a lot. And so I always like ask myself, like, do I really need this product? Was it made ethically? Like, was the person who made it, were they, paid a proper wage? And then what will happen to this item when I'm done using it? Am I going to like it for a couple months, a year? And so I like to ask myself those questions. And I've kind of chosen to choose experiences over stuff so that I'm not bringing all this stuff to my house all the time. And then I also use I call it the 24 to 48 hour rule. Some people say a week, but if you think you need something, they say to give it, a day or 2 days or a week, and then think about it. And if you're still thinking about it after that amount of time and you think you really, really need it, then maybe you should be buying it. But otherwise, a lot of times you probably forgot about it by then. So just some things that I have learned. So again, just to kind of close here, I asked, can I go without this item? And what would be the least harmful option for the environment? And is there another choice at the moment, or do I have something else that I could use instead? So if you're on this webinar, you're probably interested in going zero waste or making a move kind of in that direction. And make sure to, if you're doing this, share your journey with other people. I always get lots of questions. People are really interested in this topic. And so don't be afraid to, share and troubleshoot and ask questions if you're working towards this. And also know that, no one's perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I still have a long ways to go with my zero waste journey. But I like this quote from, I'm a fan of Anne-Marie Bonneau. She's known as the Zero Waste Chef. She has some really cool videos on Instagram, and she shares how you can basically like let nothing go to waste as far as cooking. But she says we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. And I think that's so true, because we are all, none of us are going to be able to do this perfectly. But if everyone puts in a little bit of effort, we can certainly reduce our impact and our landfill waste significantly. So that is the end of my presentation for my personal zero waste journey. And so next I will talk about our journey with Keep Cass County Beautiful, kind of moving towards zero waste in our organization and in our community, and some things that we're doing. Before I jump to that though, maybe I should pause and see if we have any questions that like regarding what I just talked about. I'll see here for a minute. I don't see any so far, but otherwise we can save them for the end as well. So, okay, I'm not seeing any. So I'm going to go on. So Keep Cass County Beautiful. We were formed in 2012, and it kind of started basically devoted to litter cleanups and a little bit of education. And then we kind of transitioned to helping with recycling in Cass County, and it's just kind of grown from there. So since I've become the director, we've added a lot of programs. One of them being our sustainability program, which I'll talk about, composting, increasing our recycling, like the amount of things that we recycle. And so we're working really hard towards going in that zero waste direction and trying to partner with a lot of businesses also to do that. So this is kind of, these are some pictures that I took, some of them being in Cass County, but this is the problems that I'm seeing in our community and basically everywhere is a lot of plastic waste and trash cans just full to the brim. And so we're always thinking, what can we do to take this waste and make it, how we can increase our recycling, how we can keep these things out of the landfill. And with our recycling program and now our compost program, at the events in Cass County, we're able to do this and reduce our landfill waste significantly, probably at least 50-60%. So that we're seeing less of this, hopefully. So these are some pictures. We provide recycling at the Cass County Fair every year, and these are some pictures showing how much how much we recycle every year there. And this is only not even all of it, but it's a really busy event. So we try to keep as much plastic cans, and even now we're composting there out of the landfill as possible, and that's our goal at every event that we have. We provide environmental education, so we're constantly talking to kids about, the impacts of trash and how they can make different choices and where does their trash go, and just basically anything related to that to bring awareness to students at a young age and get them thinking about that. I know when I started, whenever I would ask how many students knew about composting, I would not get anyone that would raise their hand. And so we've been working about 5 years with them, and now almost all of them will, and a lot of them will tell me they're composting at home and recycling at home. So it's really exciting to see the transformation and just know that they're absorbing some of that information. So we have a loan-a-bin program, and we can either take these recycling bins, compost bins, whatever, to events and be at the event, actually hands-on, or we can loan them to anyone in Cass County. It could be for a fundraiser, a wedding, a festival, anything at all, and we will bring our bins out and provide them for anyone to use, and then we'll take the recycling back with us. And the compost, because like I said, we partner with Hillside Solutions with our with Keep Cass County Beautiful, so we can bring all that to a compost bin. And so the picture on the left is at the fish fries at St. John's. school this year that they do this spring, and then Forest Festival, and then the Harvest Festival. But we're involved in, we probably provide recycling at over 50 events in a year, so pretty busy. This is our Next Treks program. So we started collecting soft plastics to for students at Elmwood to receive a free recycled park bench. So soft plastics are usually quite hard to recycle, but there's a program called Next Treks where you can recycle that. And if you recycle 1,000 pounds of plastic, you get a free park bench. So we are on our third one right now. I know Sally and Keep Nebraska City is, I think, on their 9th. So that gives you an idea of how much plastic is out there being thrown into landfills, and how we can reduce that is through this program. And the community seems to be really on board with this, and they are seeking alternatives to throwing this type of plastic away. We do an annual pumpkin collection drive. So we have a fenced off area in Plattsmouth where anyone in Cass County can bring their pumpkins, usually about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of pumpkins. We recycle, for lack of a better word, but we provide them to Safari Park or local farmers that want them for their cattle. And then if they're too, rotten, mushy for the animals to eat, we just compost them. So they all get used in some way. And we've had cute little videos of the wolves and bears at the park eating the pumpkins, and it's a lot of fun to watch that. So you figure about 4,000 pounds of pumpkins reduced from the landfill is something to be excited about, and that they're getting used. So another event we started is clothing giveaways. So I have a friend that she collects all these clothes, and we do 2 clothing giveaways away. Actually, we did one on Earth Day this year also, but anyone can come to these clothing events and they can take as much as they need. It doesn't have to be in Cass County, but this is a way that we're combating textile waste, is letting people take as many clothes as they want, and giving them to anyone who needs them. So our shift towards zero waste, our sustainability program that I started, is something that I'm really excited about. We contract with Larson Supply to get compostable, like to-go containers and plates and bowls and all of the above. And so if people contact us and they're wanting to put on an event and kind of want it to be a more eco-friendly event, we use compostables instead of plastic. Or depending if there's not a lot of people, depending on the amount, we can use our reusable dinnerware. So here's a flyer that created that, but basically anyone in Cass County is invited to use this. We have cloth napkins, we have we have ceramic plates, we have silverware, and basically anything that you would need, wine glasses, coffee mugs. So someone can check those out, and then we just usually ask for a donation. But we've utilized these many times in the year, and worked with people on events that have a couple hundred people, like the fish fries, to try to reduce that waste. And then we compost everything, and or gets rewashed. So that's, if you put on an event and everything's disposable, you just have lots and lots of trash after the event. But this is a way that we're actually reducing that waste, and by using reusables or compostables. So here's a picture at the there was a flying event at the Plattsmouth Airport where we provided composting and reusables. And then these are some pictures I took of some options we have. If you'd like to check out any of our sustainability supplies, you're welcome to use any of these for your events. We started a zero waste tea party fundraiser. So it's a lot of fun that helps us pay for our glass recycling, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But basically everything at the tea party, we decided we're not going to use anything disposable. And we talk a lot about that at the tea party. So I think it's a lot of fun, and it looks really, really nice. And it's been a really awesome event that we started, but we kind of call it our zero waste tea party fundraiser. We started glass recycling right at about a year ago. That was one of the big requests in Cass County. A lot of glass was being thrown away because there isn't a recycling option for the glass in Cass County, because you can't put it in your regular recycling bin. That's for plastic, cardboard, paper, but not glass. So there's a new business called Glassman out of Bellevue, and we contract with them. And this bin is in Plattsmouth. And we're actually putting a new one up in Eagle. Actually tomorrow we got approved to do that. So we're going to have one on the east side and the west side now, and they get picked up every other week. And so that has been amazing. We recycled as today, I think about 30,000 pounds of glass. And we work with a lot of the bars and restaurants as well to keep that glass out of the landfill. We have hosted a few styrofoam collection events. If you're not aware, there's a business in Omaha called Plastilite where you can take your styrofoam. It has to be EPS styrofoam. So they have this quote, if it bends, it's not our friend. So if it's that kind, it's not recyclable there. But also there is the Hefty Renew bag, which a lot of you have probably heard about, but it's that orange bag program where you can put your hard to recycle plastics, mostly your number 6 like styrofoam, Hefty, like the solo cups and even silverware and all of those items. So if you do end up using them or have to use them occasionally, you have somewhere to put those type of things. I know we use them a lot at our house because you just like I said, it's impossible not to use plastic, but like for cheese packaging, meat packaging, those kind of things, it's good to use. And when I sort through our litter after our litter cleanups, I can basically eliminate all the waste, everything from going to landfill, so we can recycle or compost everything. And then we started a reusable bag program. We used to order bags with our logos on them, but I didn't like that because it was still coming from like a virgin plastic, and they were frankly quite expensive. So we started this bag program just with people donating their old birdseed bags or horse feed bags, cat dog food bags. And I think we've given away about 300 of these bags so far. We work with a lady in Louisville that's retired. Her and her siblings, they make these bags for us. And so we give these all away at our events, and we encourage people to take their reusable bags to the grocery store instead of using plastic. And we always have these on hand if anyone is interested in getting a few of these. But it's been a way all these bags would end up in the trash. So we're reducing our waste again by using these reusable bags. So they are free for anyone who would like them. And that's our bag program. And I have some websites listed if you want additional information or interested in checking those out. And I guess that is the end of my slideshow. So if anyone has any questions, I would take questions now. And
there is one question in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and put the survey up. So if anybody has any other questions, you can put those in the chat. And do you want me to read it, Dana, or do you want to read the question?
I'm looking at it right now. So I think it's the one, our waste system is set up to make it very convenient to throw things away. Landfill fees are generally pretty low compared to other areas of the country. We're also bombarded with marketing that urges us to buy more, which directly works against the waste minimization. Any thoughts on how we can change the narrative? Yeah, you nailed it. That is a really good question. So how we can change like the mindset of people. It's really challenging because you're exactly right. Like we're nonstop marketed to, we throw our trash away and it just disappears and we don't see it. I mean, in Cass County, we don't even have our own landfill. So literally our trash is being shipped to either Iowa or David City, which is hours away. And so, we don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. We don't want a landfill in Cass County. So it is really hard. But I think I've just been trying to be an advocate, not be too pushy or judgy, and just keep on keeping on and kind of model, with my behavior, making better choices and kind of finding ways to talk to people about these things. Like a lot of people will see how I'm living or choices I'm making and they're inspired by that. I don't think you're going to get anyone to change by pushing them, but I would advocate for higher, paying more for throwing things away. And what I wish would happen is if, they can make recycling cheaper than trash pickup, which would really help things. But I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, it's nonstop every day. We're being marketed to, we're just taught that, it doesn't matter how much trash we create. And, in some other countries, like, in Europe, if you don't recycle, you can get fined, or, they won't pick up your trash. But it's just made really easy to be a consumer and use in the States. So we just really have to work on changing the narrative and being that role model. Um, I like to share some, things I'm doing on Facebook every now and then to try to just get people thinking. But I guess they don't have the exact answer for that. But I I don't know if that helps answer your question at all. But I agree with you, and I see the same problem as well. Looks like there's another question. Does the Hefty program actually use the plastics? I've seen a lot of documentaries of things not getting recycled, so I stopped using them. Okay, so uh, good question, Christy. I know in Omaha they do, and the reason I know is because I've toured the recycling center many times, and I've actually seen the process at work and brought things there, and I know the director really well, so we talk about that a lot, and we've seen the plastic decking that they make with that, or lumber that they make with that. And so as far as Omaha goes, I'm pretty certain that they are using that and doing that. I don't know that they have it a lot of other places, but I mean, I do have concerns too, because if you're putting the orange bags in with the recycling and, it's getting um, going with all the other trash, like I wonder, do those bags ever break open, when they're dumped, or they're going through the recycling process and then everything ends up together? Because I know there's a lot of contamination in recycling centers. But I think that goes back again to a good point. Like, it's better just to try to not use these things in the first place. So we try to avoid, using anything disposable as much as possible, like not using plastic silverware or styrofoam boxes, bringing your own containers to the restaurant, saying no to a straw or not using them. And a lot of those things can be eliminated just by getting in the habit of not using them in the first place. Because, it is very energy intensive to recycle. So it's, to me, it's kind of at the bottom of the list, just above landfill, because it does take a lot of energy, and some of that has to be shipped, long ways away, and so on. I would say aluminum would be the best thing to recycle because it's endlessly recyclable and it takes much less energy to recycle a can than something like plastic. Plastic is really challenging to recycle. Don't think I see any other questions right now. If anyone else has any. Kristen. I don't know, Kristen, if you want to unmute everyone so they're able to, if they want to just ask like without typing them in now, if anyone has any. Or I see Kent responded with extended producer responsibility. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a big move in the right direction with the extended producer responsibility, to make the producers more responsible for the waste they're creating, and right to repair laws, being able to repair things rather than just continuously getting new phones, new TVs, and all of the above. So I think it's a move in the right direction, and hopefully that continues.
Well, thank you, Dana. If there aren't any more questions, then we'll just go ahead and wrap up. If anybody does have anything else, just feel free to put them in the chat. Really appreciate you coming and talking with us today about this. I learned some new things, and it's nice to see how organizations are helping to um, create these zero waste spaces. And it shows that there are a lot of ways that can be improved, and little things do actually add up.
Absolutely, yeah. And feel free to reach out. Oh, it looks like there's another question. If I'm going, yes, I am going to the Keep Nebraska Beautiful affiliate conference in June. I will be there, Kent. So yes, it looks like we have some good topics there. But I don't know, Kristen, if anyone has any further questions and they want to reach out, you can feel free to share my, email, phone number, whatever. I'm always happy to answer questions. I enjoy answering questions. So
Yep, I will send out a follow-up email. It'll probably be next week. I'll get your slides and I will send it out to everybody and I'll include your contact information. So if anybody has any questions or if they want some additional resources, please feel free to reach out to Dana and she would be happy to help you with that.
Yes, I would. Well, thanks for having me, Kristen, and it was great
Yes,
to.
thank you again. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.